Well, good morning, everybody. Uh, Welcome back to another Tuesday here in July. My name is Dan Leaf. I'm with the PIMC board, and once again, very happy to welcome Kate Davies as our weekly teacher here this month for the PIMC Morning Group, and continue the exploration of mindfulness of the body. And just one quick note before I hand it over to Kate is that I'm actually jumping off a little bit early for a 7:30 a.m. work call. So I will be transferring host duties over to Beck Yoder, who's her normal Tuesday facilitator. So she'll be doing the wrap up at the end. But again, great to see everybody, and good morning, Kate.
Good morning. Good morning, Dan, and good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you all on this warm July morning. And this is the third in a series of 5 sessions on Tuesdays on mindfulness of the body. And 2 weeks ago, at the beginning of the month, we explored mindfulness of breathing. And then last week, if you were here, we considered mindfulness of activities in daily life. And today we're going to continue this investigation by looking at mindfulness of the elemental qualities of the body. And this is the 5th contemplation in the section on mindfulness of the body in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Foundations of Mindfulness Sutta. And our format this morning for the next hour or thereabouts will be the same as it has been for the last 2 Tuesdays. I'll begin by just offering a few remarks for about 15 minutes or so on our topic today, just as context or kind of background for our meditation time together. And then, of course, we'll meditate together, and today will be mostly guided, but not entirely. And then after we've meditated together at about 10 to the hour, I'll open it up for your reflections, comments, questions, and so on. And then we'll wrap up about an hour from now. So hope that's okay with everyone. So let's begin with a poem this morning. The strength of the earth protecting all life, the sturdiness of a mountain standing tall and proud, the solid, unmovable feel beneath my feet is all part of me. The coolness of water flowing through my fingers, the gurgling of a brook with its healing touch, the serene peace that a lake can bring, is all part of me. The heat of a blazing fire lighting up the night, the tin heartbeat of a candle flame, the sizzling pride of a bright orange bonfire is all part of me. The freedom of the open air breezing through the sky, the wild west wind that bends trees to the ground, The detachment from the world when soaring through the sky is all part of me. The four elements, so different, and yet all the same. They connect us. I connect them, and they are all part of me. So, mindfulness of the elemental qualities of the body. And this is what the Buddha says about this practice in the Satipatthana Sutta, and I'm using Bhikkhu Sujato's translation. A mendicant examines their own body. Of course, a mendicant is a monk or a nun. A mendicant examines their own body, whatever its placement or posture, according to the elements. In this body, there is earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. It's as if a deft butcher or butcher's apprentice were to kill a cow and sit down at the crossroads with the meat cut into chops. This too is how a mendicant medicates, by observing an aspect of the body. So that's a pretty graphic analogy. We're asked to be butchers or butcher's apprentices and looking at the meat that we've cut into chops or pieces. And so we're being asked to observe the elements of the body in a similar manner that we would chops or pieces of meat. And of course, the four elemental qualities or characteristics in Buddhism are firstly earth, and earth represents hardness or solidity or firmness or rigidity. And we can think of earth element in the body as including the hair on our heads, body hair, of course, nails, teeth, and bones. And we can think of external earth element as the earth itself, as well as rocks and stones and all hard, rigid things. And then there's water element, which represents liquidity and fluidity. But it also represents cohesion or binding, like when you add a cup of water to some flour to make pastry, and it goes into that kind of goopy paste almost. Or when you add water to dry earth to make mud or clay. So it's both fluidity and cohesion. And internal water elements include bile and phlegm and pus and blood and everything liquid, sweat, tears, urine, nasal mucus, anything liquidy. And external water elements, of course, include rain, rivers, lakes, ponds, oceans. And then there's fire element, representing heat or warmth, and internal fire element includes the feelings of warmth. I'm feeling pretty warm here sitting in the sun this morning. There's fire element present. It can also be those bodily mechanisms that produce physical warmth, such as digestion. And then external fire elements include the heat of the sun, the heat of fires as well, and volcanoes. The fourth element is wind or air. The characteristic of this element is movement, which we usually sense by change or movement. We don't sense it directly as we do the other three elements. And it often indicates shifts or changes in the other three elements. And in the body, we can sense air element as breath, of course, or the movement of the breath, and other gases as they move in the body, in the GI tract. But all bodily movement is wind element. It's really the movement, like the rising and falling of the abdomen with the breath. And so those are the four that I want to focus on this morning, although sometimes two others are added, the fifth one being space and the sixth one being consciousness. But I want to focus on the first four today. And I think it's helpful to remember that these elements are not necessarily, we don't have to regard them as substances, as materials, as kind of essences. They're not, this isn't really a teaching about essential essences or material science. It's not like the four elements are basic or indivisible components of matter, like atoms or molecules, or like the elements in Western science. Rather, what's being pointed to here is that the elements are seen as characteristics of matter. They're features or attributes of the body and of all matter that we can observe relatively easily, relatively straightforwardly. And in Buddhism, of course, all material is composed of these four traits, these four qualities, these four characteristics in different proportions. So, for example, each of the four is present in a tree. The wood itself, its hardness and its solidity is the earth element. The water element can be seen in the xylem that transports water and minerals from the tree's roots upwards to the branches and leaves. We can see fire element in the heat and the coolness of the tree and the shade that it offers. And we can see wind element in the motion of the tree as it sways in the breeze. Or we can see the four elements as present in the human body, which is what we're going to do in a few moments. Earth element as the solidity of our bones and our teeth. Water element as saliva in the mouth or in blood. Fire element in the sense of warmth or the absence of warmth at the skin. And wind element in the movement of the breath. And I think meditating on these four elemental qualities of the body can be very powerful. It certainly has been for me, especially when we contemplate the presence of these elements in the body, both internally and then externally in the environment. So we can contemplate the hardness of teeth, for example, and the hardness of rocks and boulders. And doing this at the level of felt experience rather than just in an intellectual way, we can understand that these qualities, these elemental qualities, are just the same internally and externally. There's no difference between the hardness, the solidity, the rigidity of our bones and the hardness, solidity, and rigidity of rocks and boulders. Sure, the appearance and the molecular composition might be very different, but the quality of hardness, the actual quality, is the same. And this applies to water element inside and outside the body, to fire element inside and outside the body, and to wind element inside and outside the body. And as we get a kind of visceral, a felt sense of the sameness, our identification and attachment to the body can soften just a little bit. It's not like my body is special or unique or even mine. Rather, it's that the body is composed of these same elemental qualities that we see all around us, just the same as everything else. In other words, contemplating the elemental qualities of the body can help us to see that there's really no difference and no separation between us and everything else and everyone else. So in this practice, we're seeing that our bodies are composed of the same substances as everything all around us. And this can help us to cultivate insights into anatta, or not self, and insights into anicca, or impermanence. And also giving us a glimpse into the interdependence of all things, especially our bodies, how we depend on everything else. And these insights into anatta, anicca, and dependent arising can be very freeing and liberating. Seeing things as they truly are, seeing the body as it is, seeing that the body is part of the planet, an outcropping of the planet, if you like, not separate. Our bodies are made from it every moment of the day and completely dependent on it. Our bodies are not ours to own or control. They come from the earth and will return from it. One of my favorite quotes about this, author Susan Griffin said this: "I know I am made from this earth, as my mother's hands were made from this earth, as her dreams came from this earth. And all that I know in this earth. The body of the bird, this pen, this paper, these hands, this tongue speaking, all that I know speaks to me through this earth." So now let's do some practice. And this will be basically a series of 4 body scans based on these elemental qualities.